All right, we are officially live. Let me check my Facebook for the feed. All right, there we are. So I can see my feed. Let me update this, edit this post. All right, let's see. Wealth Talk Tuesdays with Michael Rayford. All right, let's see where we at. Okay, edit post. All right, here we are with Michael Rayford. There you are. All right, perfect. All right, thanks for logging on. Just doing some last minute tightening up, and we'll get started in a minute or two. Works. All right, there we go. All right, so once I save that, you should either get a notification or see it pop up in your timeline.
I got it.
You got it? All right, perfect. Perfect. All right, so now that you have it on yours, I've got it on mine. We're good to go. Everybody, all of your people will be able to see it. All of my folks will be able to see it. So we're good to go. All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am excited. We are at a special edition. I was going to say another edition of Wealth Talk Tuesdays, which is my general opening for Wealth Talk Tuesdays when I drop these on Tuesday. But obviously today is not Tuesday. Today is Saturday, August 29th, 2020. And this is a special edition of Wealth Talk Tuesdays. We have a special guest with us today who is going to be dropping some financial nuggets with us. I'm really looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have with Michael. I'll be sure to introduce Michael in just a second. If you are watching this, do me a favor. Make sure you connect with Michael. You should find his name in the comments. Make sure you share this video so that we can share this video with as many people as possible. We want to make sure that as many people as possible have access to the knowledge and the information that's going to have an impact on their life. So with that, I definitely want to welcome Michael Rayford to Wealth Talk Tuesdays. Michael, give the people a hello.
What's up, my people? How you doing?
That's what's up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are ready to go. So I'll do a quick intro bio for Michael. And then I want Michael to tell us who he is in his own words. So Michael is a financial literacy expert and entrepreneur. In his past life, this is what I really enjoy. This brother has a great story. In his past life, he was an actor, speaker, television personality, and producer. Had a show in the city of Chicago, the Windy City. Also, what I found really powerful too. This brother is an Emmy award-winning associate producer. I'm humbled and privileged, man, to have you on the show. But in his current life and what he is passionate about and what he loves is educating people on how money works. So with that, I'll hand it over to Michael. And Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Well, you just gave me a flashback. And I had forgot about that because I haven't talked about that in a while. But, my experience in TV, man, was a really nice ride because while I was in college, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And, always being the class clown, if you will, I always tried to make people laugh. And that got me into doing some stand-up comedy in college, into some comedy competitions, hosted at an MC at a comedy club, did some acting in college, but I knew I wanted to do television after college, but I didn't know how to get there. Mm-hmm. So after college, I started doing a TV show on the local access cable show. And that led me to doing a lot of interviews with people in the music industry, actors, business people. And from that, doing that for about 7 years, I was able to parlay that experience into a job on the Oprah Winfrey Show. But that's where I learned that there's always going to be somebody who is going to be vying for your position. Somebody wants your spot. Somebody's always watching you, and they want to get what you have. So eventually I had to leave, because in reality, I wanted Oprah's spot. You see what I mean? I wanted to do what she was doing.
Yeah.
And so it was just a matter of time before I'd have to leave anyway. And then so, I didn't want to do news, because I mean, even with today's world, the news is really depressing, and I did not want to do news. So it just got to that point where I met a couple young ladies. We put together another talk show. We tried to pitch that show for a couple of years. We have people working for us for free, volunteering their time, but eventually people want to get paid for their work. And so we had to decide on what we're going to do. We all went our own different ways. And that's when I had to settle down and get a 9-to-5. And did a 9-to-5 for a while, started teaching, did not know I'd ever want to be an educator. But that experience has led me to where I am today as a How Money Works educator. So it's been a really nice ride. And this is really where I want to plant my flag, building my business, but also helping a lot of people understand how money works. And that's what I'm on today. That's my mission.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You said a lot of points, man, that just in the entrepreneur's journey that are consistent and stuff that I've experienced myself, coming out of college and just trying to figure out, what you want to do, taking risk and not really knowing exactly how you're going to get there and trying to figure it out. And then in the path of doing that, you actually find something that you're passionate about, and it may not be what you originally thought or what you originally intended to be. That's definitely some common stories. A funny thing too is it's actually 12 years ago. I was it was like 2 years out of college. I went to teach English in Seoul, South Korea, and at the time I was not a teacher, had no plans to teach. I ended up teaching. I hated it. But now 12 years, I hated it. I hated teaching. I was an accounting major, right? At the time, I was a lot more introverted, so I wasn't really, that outspoken. I just kind of liked to be in the background. So teaching was definitely out of my comfort zone. But 12 years later, I find myself teaching a lot more, and I enjoy the process, and I enjoy the exchange of information and the exchange of knowledge. So it's just interesting to see those parallels in your story, as well as mine. So tell us, now that you're teaching people about how money works, tell us a little bit about, your platform, and just give it to us, man. Start telling us about it.
This book right here, How Money Works, is the key. And I'm not going to say the key to the future, but I will tell you that the things that I've learned. So for example, I used to work for a nonprofit some years ago, and I taught GED. And I would teach young people how to budget, but I didn't really know a lot about how money worked. But I would teach how to budget, because that's a real basic skill that we should have. But over the last 5 years, now that I've been on this campaign, and there's about 50,000 of us in the USA and in Canada doing this. There's what's called the 7 money milestones. And what we do is we use this book to share our financial knowledge. And there are a lot of basic concepts that we should all know. So for example, the rule of 72, the time value of money, the wealth formula. These are very basic things that we should all know, but it's not taught in school. So this is information that should be taught in high school, and even, in junior high school. And I'll tell you, I just read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep.
And I actually listened to the audiobook, because I don't like to sit down and read, right? My mind is everywhere. So if I can listen and do multiple things at the same time, I accept the information better. And just the things that I've learned from that book, and it's just a different mindset. And if you understand the basics of how money works, number one, you come to appreciate money a lot more, because you understand how powerful it can be. It's a tool. So if you understand how to use the tool, you won't let people take advantage of you. you won't let yourself take advantage of yourself because you understand the value of time, the value of money, the value of compound interest, all those things that we don't get taught. You can learn, appreciate, and then strategize how you want to grow your money. So it's a pretty awesome concept, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad, man, is definitely a classic, especially for people like me, because I'm in real estate. I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad is definitely a foundational book for a lot of folks in real estate, and it really clearly articulates the difference in mindset and understanding about how people view money, and what the kind of the typical path and of viewing money is, which tends to be kind of what was just passed down to us, right? This is how it's always been done, or this is how we did it, without much I'd say without much strategy or without much critical thinking behind it. It was, all right, go to school, get a good job, get your retirement package or get your, your benefits. And that was essentially it. But one of the key and core components of Rich Dad Poor Dad is helping you to think about the larger aspect of money and to start to think about it a lot more strategically than you typically would.
And I'm glad you say that because, I've been teaching on the college level for 17 years. I teach communications. And so one of the first assignments that we do in my class is called the vision board. And I'm sure you know what a vision board is. And the one common denominator that my students put on their vision board is they do not want to have a lot of debt once they graduate college. That's number one. But number two, I always ask them, why are you here? Meaning in college. And everybody says, I want to get a job. Well, that's the wrong answer, right? You should go to college to get educated, not to just get a job. But because of the way the system is designed, colleges and the high school and the education system is designed to help people become better employees. So you can get a job and so you can pay more taxes. So if you become financially educated, you understand more about taxes. You understand how to strategically, right, pay more or less taxes, which of course we all want to pay less taxes. But you start to understand how to play the system of understanding the money game. It's kind of like playing Monopoly. If you don't know the rules to the game, you're going to lose. If you don't know the rules to the money game, you're going to lose. So as you become more educated and understand the rules of the game, you can now play the game much better. And even talking about Robert Kiyosaki, understanding, the cash flow game. If you understand how to play Monopoly, now the cash flow game takes you to another level. And I'm not trying to advertise for Robert Kiyosaki, but these are fundamental things that, how come no one ever taught me these things when I was young or as a child? Because, really the system doesn't want us to know, because if we know these things, then we will be less liable to depend on the system. You think about the 30 million people who apply for unemployment during this pandemic, right? They are dependent on the system now. Now, luckily, I wasn't affected on that level, but I wasn't waiting for a stimulus check to come just because my wife and I had put together an emergency fund, And so the thing is, are you planning for those days when the unforeseen comes, right? Like if you weren't able to work from home from March to now, how would you earn income if your job furloughed you? Do you have a way of earning income from a digital platform? If you weren't, then you may have got, furloughed, unemployed, whatever the case may be. But I think our platform, our campaign really teaches people how to, number one, get educated about money. And then number two, there's what we call the 7 money milestones, which we help all of our clients go through. And once you understand those 7 money milestones, now you can become financially independent and work towards becoming financially free.
Yeah, man, you dropped a lot. You just dropped a lot. I love it, man. This is great conversation. One of the motivations for me behind my platform is dispelling the idea and the notion that there's something wrong with trying to pursue wealth and trying to achieve financial independence and trying to achieve, financial freedom. And part of that is because, having been in real estate and navigating through the circles that I've navigated in, there tends to be, and it's kind of like the political system. There's, one side of the fence and then there's the other. And sometimes when it comes to the wealth component, and that's not really knowing who the average wealthy person is. Like if you read The Millionaire Next Door, a lot of people don't realize that the average millionaire is literally somebody just next door
Absolutely.
who has accumulated, their million or millions over the course of their lifetime. And so we have these misconceptions that it's, the wealthy, it's them versus us, when the them is just everyday people like us who just navigated differently, throughout the course of their life. And so I try to dispel the idea that you can't become one of those people. It's open to everybody. But the way, like you said, the system is designed, if we don't take in new information, if we don't take in a new perspective, then yes, it's going to be them versus us, quote unquote. But you have every right and every ability to make that journey yourself, but it's going to require a different level of thinking, a different level of information. And so a lot of the things that you touched on, with one, which was very powerful, you talked about, the vision board with your students. And when you ask most people, why are you in college? And it's like, hey, to get a job. I think that speaks volumes about, the system and the process and just the frame of mind of most people. But going on from there, you talked about, hey, they want little to no debt. Having little to no debt is a key component of being able to build wealth, and then being able to strategically use debt as you try to advance. That also becomes an important factor. Another thing you talked about was taxes and trying to figure out how you can pay less in taxes. A lot of times we talk bad about the people or the organizations who are paying less in taxes, and we don't often talk about the government waste and what they're actually doing with your money. But you have every right to utilize the system and the tax code to lower your tax liability, right?
It's funny you say that, because one of the concepts that I had no idea about before I joined this financial campaign, when we talk about taxes, there are three places you can put your money. Tax now, meaning when you get your check, the government's going to take their percentage. Then we have tax deferred, where the tax now and the tax deferred is where most people fall, because if you have a job, you probably have a 401k, you may have a pension, right? But there's this bucket called tax advantaged or tax never. And these are products that most of us have never heard of before. Whether it's a 529, cash value life insurance, Roth IRA, and the list goes on. But if you've never been taught those pieces to the game, you will never be able to take advantage of them. And that's how you can reduce the tax liability on your potential wealth. But if you never know, I'll tell you, my mom graduated high school. My dad graduated from 8th grade. They never knew. Mm-hmm. The major financial companies never called our house and said, Mr. and Mrs. Rayford, have you ever thought about investing in A, B, or C? Because their income was not at that level where those companies would reach out and call them. So there's a large percentage of the population who never gets that phone call. Mm-hmm. So our biggest mission is educating middle America who works paycheck to paycheck, right? And educate them on how these concepts work. And then once you get educated, now you can move on to milestone number 2, all the way to milestone number 7. You can change the direction of your financial situation. And with some discipline, you can change the direction of your next generation, and then the generation after that, and the generation after that. And that's really what our mission is to really help people create a legacy for themselves and their family.
I love it. I love it. It's man, this was a great connection, man, because you mentioned another reason why why I do this. If you talked about income level and how just off the sheer income level, there weren't certain people reaching out to even raise the awareness about certain opportunities. Well, it's the same way in real estate. From an investing standpoint, the investment platform that I have, in order for individuals to qualify on a mass level, they have to be considered accredited or sophisticated investors. In order for you to qualify as an accredited or sophisticated investor, you have to have a certain level of income before people will even pick up the phone to call you about these opportunities, because you don't even qualify. And so to kind of close that gap, bringing the knowledge and the information to people who wouldn't normally get that call, so that, like you said, with some change in habits and information and change in discipline, maybe one day they can raise themselves up to get to that point where they do get that call, right? And they
Absolutely.
do get opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's two quick things I want to bring up. Number one is, and we talk about the mind frame. A lot of us are, if you've ever heard of the show The Walking Dead, a lot of us are walking around like The Walking Dead. And we walk into, let's just say, the bank, for example, and banks are great places if you know what the purpose of the bank is. But if you were to walk into the bank and go up to the teller, and there's a bowl of suckers there, and if you ever look at the label on the suckers, they're made by a company called Dum Dums, right? I can't make this up. It's true. Now, if you think about when you look on their board where they display, your savings account interest rate, your checking account interest rate, think about that interest rate that you're receiving and then divide that percentage into 72. That will tell you how many years it will take your money to double. So if you're putting your money into the bank thinking that it's going to grow and support your retirement, you're simply wrong. Now, the bank is a great place for, number one, an emergency fund, because you want that money to be liquid. You want to be able to access it very quickly if you need to. But if you want to grow your money for your retirement and grow wealth, there are other vehicles that you can use for that purpose. And then number two, we have to become self-sufficient. We have to think about self-security, because depending upon the age of those who are watching this, Social Security may not be around, whether it's 2030, 2040, we don't know how long it's going to be around. We cannot depend on those government systems to support us down the road. We have to now become our own money managers and manage our own future as it relates to our wealth and retirement.
I love it. Yeah, it's funny, the Dum Dums. Yeah, the rule of 72. That's
stop being a sucker.
That's what that is on the cover. Okay, I get it.
That's what that is, and I'll get a copy to anybody who wants one. It's eye-opening.
I get it. All right, so yeah, the rule of 72. That's an interesting one that you correlated that with the bank example, because a lot of people don't know. Like, say, if you have a certificate of deposit, or you have a money market account, whatever garbage interest rate that they're giving you, they're then in turn lending that money back out at a significantly higher interest rate. So the bank is literally making money hand over fist off of your money. And they're giving you basically pennies on the dollar of what they're going to be able to do with that money once you actually deposit it with them. And then another thing that I thought was important, where you talked about self-sufficiency and independence, making that transition when you really understand that rule of 72, and you say, okay, the bank is only paying me this much, and it's going to take me this long to achieve my financial goals if I leave the money in the bank. Well, to make that transition, you have to take a more active process and a more active role in your financial investing and what to do with your money, which leads to that self-sufficiency and that self-independence. I think that a lot of people don't realize, and this is one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki is big on. You have to learn how to become your own investor. You have to learn how to become your own money manager. Like, you have to learn how money works and not just rely on the financial advisor, or just rely on the real estate broker, or, whoever it is that you're working with. You leverage those resources and that expertise. But at the end of the day, you should have a more active role in understanding and what to do with your money and how it works.
Yeah, I think and this has bothered me for a long time, and I'm sure you understand this, is when we think about young professional athletes who make all this money, and then once they stop playing, they end up broke 5 years after that. Yep. And it's because they never knew how money worked. And then so the people who were that they're put it in their circle to provide services for them, not to necessarily say take advantage of them, but because they didn't know, they get taken advantage of. So we have to be in the game of understanding how money works so that we know where our money goes, every dime, so that we know where it goes. So when we do sit down with somebody who is that professional, they are not talking over our head. Because remember, we don't like to admit that we don't know things, and we don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And I think, through the workshops that we have and the master classes that we have, as a matter of fact, I've got one, How Money Works Masterclass on September the 12th at 9:30, Masterclass 1, and then I have a Masterclass 2 on the 19th as well. But once you start going through these master classes, your eyes will open, because it's like, how come no one ever told me that? Or, you mean I can do that with my money, and I can do that with my money? Absolutely. So this is where you can now come to a place where you can actually put together a plan of how you want your money to work for you. So you've got, and that you've got multiple pieces moving at the same time, and each piece has a different responsibility. And once you start to see them in action, it just starts to build your confidence, and you start to do more things with your money.
Mm-hmm. You said, yeah, definitely. It's amazing when you think about it. Professional athletes, these are kids. Coming from my background, coming from what I know, at 18, 19, 20, if somebody just dropped 5, 10, 20 million dollars, $50 million, you're literally not going to know what to do with that money. And as we mentioned earlier, most people don't receive that level of financial knowledge and education that you need to be able to manage that level of money. But it's okay to admit, like you said, we don't like to admit what we don't know. I definitely have been guilty of that in my life, absolutely. And what we don't know can't hurt us, right? I've been guilty of that as well. But with conversations like this and letting people know that it's okay for you to make mistakes. It's okay for you to admit what you don't know. It's okay to realize that, hey, I may have made some mistakes, but the good thing is there are people out there like you who have platforms, and you mentioned you have some workshops coming up. So with the platform that you have, tell us a little bit more about, if anyone is watching this, what can they do, or what do you have to offer that helps them start to go through that process of figuring out how this thing really works?
The very first thing you need to do is get a copy of the book, because you definitely want to read it. But with the book, it goes through the 7 money milestones. And the great thing about the book is it's not your traditional financial literacy book or your financial book, which is usually 300 or 400 pages, just full of text and really boring. This book is only 86 pages. It's very colorful. There are characters in it who are at different stages of their life, and they actually have conversations about money. Mm-hmm. And so you should be able to relate to 1 or 2 of those characters as you read it. But it goes through the 7 money milestones. So number 1 is getting financially educated. Number 2 is understanding proper protection, which is understanding what is insurance, how it works, and why it's a great investment. How do I create an emergency fund? Why is it important? How do I manage my debt? Cash flow, how do I build wealth? And then once I build it, how do I protect it? So in our master classes, we go through, so the very first master class is a dissection of the book itself. And it's all about the different concepts you'll learn. Master class number 2 actually goes into the 7 money milestones. And then at what stage of your life do you need the milestone? And then what products and services could be used in each of those milestones. So it's one of those situations where the light bulbs go off, you become empowered, and now you can start to take action. And you can take those master classes over and over and over because, you're not going to learn everything in one class, right? But then you become more comfortable and confident having those conversations with individuals. And so if you don't have a financial professional, we can provide the service for you because now hopefully you trust the relationship, right? So pretty powerful stuff. It's powerful. It builds confidence. Once you get involved in the game, you'll be able to do more with it. So my website is howmoneyworks.com/Michael Rayford. howmoneyworks.com/Michael Rayford. And then on my website, you can email me, schedule an appointment, text call, whatever you need. But again, I've got the Masterclass 1 on the 12th and Masterclass 2 on the 19th as well.
Okay, perfect. So I just posted that in the link to your website in the comments. So just to recap really quickly, essentially you said first, make sure they get the book, get that financial education, get that information, and then from there, there's a lot of information packed into that 86 pages that will help educate them and help them become comfortable with the conversation itself, as well as helping to build that trust that they'll need to talk to the professionals that can help them achieve their goals. And then to take that further down the field, you've got a 2-part masterclass. The first masterclass breaks everything down from the book, and then the second masterclass goes into detail by age and demographic and what you need, the different resources and things that you need to help you along in that process.
Absolutely. And the book was written by a best-selling author, and we've had a media campaign going on ever since December of last year. We've been on 30 different I shouldn't say we, but the author and the founder have been on 30 different news stations talking about the book because most people don't know. And then so by going on the website, you can get it. It's on Amazon right now. You can buy it for $17, but why not get it from me for free? Right? It makes sense. But go on the website, a lot of great information. We've got a lot of great videos that help explain concepts as well. So, some people like to hear things, some people like to see things, some people like to do things. So we really made it easy for people to understand the information as well.
It's a step-by-step instruction manual, essentially.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
mean, anyone from, a child who's 14, 15 up to, a grandmother who's 80 years old can comprehend the information that's in the book.
I like it. And so with that, let's see, we're at 32 minutes. So just I guess one question I would have, because this is definitely important, but just talking about the mindset, the mental shift, any thoughts or comments on anyone who may be watching, just the importance of there's the information, but then there's also the mindset. Any thoughts or ideas on making the mental shift to start to take more control over your financial situation and to start to pursue wealth on a different level?
Well, I think the first step, of course, is becoming educated, but now the mindset of you have to track every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out. And from that, you have to develop a habit and a discipline of always watching that, because we can do some very simple things where we can waste a lot of money. And that could be, because of the shelter in, it's very easy nowadays to pick up that Uber app or Uber Eats and just order food. It's very easy, convenient, because everybody wants our money. We have to be aware of that. So how much of your money are you going to keep? And then how much of your money are you going to use? Because money never sleeps. So you want your money working for you. And one thing one of my leaders told me about one time, he said, at the end of the month, we're paying a lot of different people, talking about our bills and expenses, but how many people are actually paying us? So when you think about, whether you're 1099, W-2, from your investments, how many of those things are paying you money? So that will open your eyes to, if I need to make some shifts in my behavior and in my mindset, I need to get more people and things to pay me versus me paying more people out. So that's a mindset shift that, it's not going to happen overnight. But again, reading books, getting involved in workshops, whether they're virtual or in person. But getting involved in those type of things will help change the mindset. But then also think about, if I think about the 5 people that I spend the most time with, look at their life, look at their financial situation, because for the most part, I will probably become the average of those 5 people. And so think about the one who's at the top on income and the one on the bottom. Do I want to make more, earn more, or be worth more than that top person? Or do I need to surround myself with some other people who are doing the things that I really want to do with my life from a financial standpoint?
Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the I really like the who's paying me versus who. I really like that. It's simple, it's black and white, it's very straightforward, and it's honest. I'm paying a lot of people, but who's paying me?
Yep.
But no, a lot of good nuggets, man. A lot of good nuggets, and I like the income comparison too. Actually, I think I was reading. I'm reading a book now called The Energy of Money. And it's really just talking about the literal energy of money and the different nuances of energy and energy shifts that we go through mentally, physically, and emotionally based on different decisions that we do, how we take action, how we don't take action, and things like that. I can't remember if it was that book or another one, but it talked about the income comparison. Normally, when you hear, oh, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around, they don't always talk about the income factor. And if you look at it, you tend to fall in line, income wise with the people that you hang around, not just, habit wise or, thought process wise, but also income wise. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a natural phenomenon that happens. And so, like you said, kind of take a look and make that conscious analysis, and then decide, where you want to land. And that may mean that may require you to go to some other circles, which often is going to require you to reach up anyway, right? If you
Right.
want to
Right.
advance and grow, you're going to have to reach up anyway and create and grow some new networks. So a lot of good nuggets, man. I appreciate it. All right. So I told, if anyone has any questions, just drop them in the comment section below really quickly. If there are no questions, again, make sure you add Michael on Facebook. I dropped his website in the comments. Make sure you check out the website in the comments. If you want if you want a copy of the book, How Money Works, make sure you reach out to Michael and he'll send a free copy to you. Also, make sure you follow up with him to get any of your questions answered, and then to start the process so you can get logged on to the masterclass 1 and 2. And just for clarity, I assume that that's being done virtually. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So like you said earlier, set up for a digital platform so we can continue to conduct and facilitate business. I like it. Definitely really appreciate the conversation, man. A lot of great information was dropped. I love the platform. Again, make sure you check out that website. He's got a lot of great information on the website as well. And then we're going to drop this video again on Tuesday for Wealth Talk Tuesdays. But Michael, I appreciate you for logging on, man. It's been a great conversation, a great discussion, and I definitely look forward to having many more in the future, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Take care.
Have a good one.
You too.